Welcome into episode 268 of the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball and recruiting podcast on the growing KSR Podcast Network. Sources Say is brought to you by our good friends at Justice Dental. This is one of their two Lexington locations. It's on Blazer Parkway and Washington Way. By scheduling an appointment online at justicedental.com or by calling 859-543-0700. You can even send a text message to one of their friendly team members at the same number to ask a question or make an appointment. Now is a great time to schedule your dental cleaning. Dr. Thompson, Dr. Justice, and their team strive to provide you with good oral health in a comfortable environment. The Justice Dental team looks forward to seeing you soon. I am your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio. Very happy to be joined for a winner's edition of the Sources Say podcast, live from the Mattamy Athletic Center in Toronto. 8173 Shawn Smith. How are you?
I am fantastic, Jack Pilgrim. We got to see a lot of that stuff that we've talked about over the last week or so on this show. And then when we took over KSR last week, Kentucky run a lot of good stuff offensively, getting back to the dribble drive motion. We did see some 5-out, and the freshmen looked good. The upperclassmen looked good. John Calipari wasn't overdoing it, was kind of relaxed and just letting his team do his thing. And Kentucky got a win, and the fans are really happy today on social media. Like it's been a good day.
Yeah, man. This was one that I know I think fans had circled on their calendar because Germany was seen as the team. They had the versatility, they had the shooting, they had the shot making, they had the length. And if there was one team that I think could have posed some significant issues for this Kentucky team, especially on the defensive end, just because of how long and athletic and versatile they are as shot makers, this was the game that I think fans were a little bit concerned about. And for Kentucky to go out and pull off the 81-73 win, again, it wasn't a perfect performance. It's exactly what you'd expect for a group of young freshmen, especially against a team that is as old and has been together for as long as they have been. This was about as solid of a performance as I think you could ask for at this stage to debut at this high-profile event, Shawn. I came away very, very optimistic about how the Cats played.
Yeah, me too. And we talked a lot yesterday about situational basketball and getting some different things out of what Kentucky would get from this trip and how they didn't get situational basketball a year ago in the Bahamas because most of those games were just blowouts from the beginning to the end. But today you had Kentucky come out playing well, and then you had Germany hit some shots, hit back-to-back threes there, and built a lead in the first half. And then Kentucky settled in and bounced back and regained the lead. And then late in the game, you had to hold on to that lead against some full-court pressure. So you've got some situational basketball that you'll see in the regular season when games actually matter and getting down to it. So really encouraging, a lot of good stuff from day one. It's only day one. It's going to have more to come tomorrow than this weekend, but Kentucky's put itself in a good spot, and I think it built some confidence today. And, I mean, you had a lot of guys doing a lot of good stuff today, and that's the most encouraging thing. At this point, not even in the season, in the summer where they've had 10 practices, you've had so many positives to take away from this game. I mean, you can go down the list. Even the guys that didn't really do a ton offensively, Reed Sheppard found a way to still contribute and fill up the stat sheet with some assists. How about that number? 24 assists as a team on 31 made shots for a team that had never taken the floor together against another opponent.
And to do it on such short notice with Ugonna Onyenso being out, it sucked because the show ended. The last one we did, our preview show, I literally got a text as the show was wrapping up that said, Ugo just hurt his ankle, probably not going to play tomorrow, maybe not even play the rest of the weekend. So that was a bummer, man, because we talked extensively about just the impact of, what Ugo can be on the defensive end and just his presence and how necessary it is for Kentucky to have him as the anchor on this team, and for him to miss this prime opportunity for him. I'd heard that he kind of started out a little slow because Trey Mitchell hadn't arrived on campus yet. His backup center was Jordan Burks. We'll talk about him in a minute, and him having to kind of take over that role again. He hadn't had that body-to-body banging physicality presence down low. So Ugo's I think development had kind of stalled a little bit because of that and because of those circumstances. So this was going to be an opportunity for him to go heads up against some physical competition. And unfortunately, he rolls his ankle yesterday. And after I had heard that he had been sensational, 6 blocks leading up to that and was really, really solid leading up to it. So it sucks that we don't get to see him with our own 2 eyes, just how much he is, where he is, and how much we can rely on him. However, it did allow Kentucky to kind of get creative with lineups and play some small ball. We got to see Adou Thiero really thrive in his specific role. John Calipari said he did not like what he saw out of Justin Edwards at the 4. I want to get your thoughts on that as well, Shawn. But there was a lot to like about this performance, and a big part of it was just because of how Kentucky went small ball, and we got to see this team at its most versatile and just to kind of see how impressive they can be on the offensive end. Definitely something that turned my head.
Yeah, and the comment too about Justin Edwards at the 4, I just feel like it's too early to really make a call on whether or not you like something or you love it. That's like a do. We saw a completely different version of Adou Thiero today. Like, that's the stuff that you and I have been talking about a ton, but now you got to see it again tomorrow. You got to see it again throughout this entire trip and have some consistency. Well, the same can be said for Justin. He didn't have his best offensive effort today. Like, is he still settling in and trying to find his place? Probably. Like, I mean, it's game 1. We knew that not every single player was going to look good on day 1. That's like some of these guys that looked good today. It may be their turn tomorrow to kind of be trying to find their way. And it may be Justin's turn to kind of take the forefront and do some things and have a better stat line and maybe impact the game in a different way. But I still think it's way too early. I want to see them at least give him some looks at that spot, because when it comes down to it, Jack, the way Kentucky's going to play offense and into that dribble drive motion, it really doesn't matter what position it is. If it's a 4, if it's a 3, if it's a 2, you're getting the ball, you're getting downhill. You saw Kentucky getting to its pitch. You saw Kentucky getting to its loops in that drag area, the dribble drive. Justin Edwards is going to be just fine. I have no concerns about what he's going to be. He made a really nice move there late in the second half, 2 feet in the paint, finished with his left hand. He had a really solid move there, athletic finish in the first half, showing some of the athleticism, getting from the left side of the lane to the right side of the rim. Needs to knock down some shots. He will. But the versatility that Kentucky showed, though, not just on the offensive end of the floor, but I thought on the defensive end of the floor too, an area where they've not spent a ton of time playing small. I like that they came out with some full court pressure, because if you're going to be small like that, you have to gamble and do some things differently. And I thought that they used their length and their athleticism and their quickness to kind of disrupt on that end of the floor.
I want to ask you about that, because we got DJ starting at the point guard spot, but we did get to see a really nice mixture of Rob playing on ball with DJ off and DJ on ball with Rob off. I think we got to see kind of both players be at the best version of themselves. DJ as an attacker and as a finisher, and Rob as a creator and shooter and scorer for himself. What did you think of those two playing complementary basketball? Who did you like either of them more than the other at the lead guard position? Because I know that was a big question that we had ahead of yesterday's show.
I like, honestly, giving both that option and giving them opportunities to do both with the ball in their hands, off the ball. Look, DJ's a dog. Like, that stood out to me today. Like, that's going to be where Kentucky's guys at. That's the stud. That's the star that's going to kind of put the team on his back at times. You saw that today, and I think you're going to see that throughout the rest of this trip. And then we get into when games matter in the fall. But Rob took a couple of shots and did a couple of things. DJ went behind his back in traffic trying to split a screen. You saw John Calipari talking to him about it, valuing possessions. Those are things that, he can't do and he won't do when it gets down into the regular season and things. But look, Rob Dillingham had a jumper from the free throw line, Jack, where he went between his legs 3 times and just lifted and hit a shot. Like, that's what Rob's going to do. And Rob's going to make shots. He's going to miss some shots. He's going to make some turnovers. But I really like that Cal's giving him the green light. But it's just, you can't take bad shots with the green light, like Calipari said. Give both those guys the basketball and just let them play in space. DJ getting 2 feet in the paint, to me, stands out the most. That feels like a guy that his first step is so quick, but he gets to wherever he wants to on the basketball floor. And that's going to help a guy like Antonio Reeves. That's going to help a guy like Trey Mitchell and these other guys that can shoot the ball from outside. DJ getting downhill, getting 2 feet in the paint, finishing for himself, but also playing for others. Man, like Kentucky's got some guys. That's what stood out to me from 40 minutes of basketball today. I can already tell you that Kentucky's got dudes in the backcourt that it did not have a year ago that can beat you off the bounce and make offense easier. I mean, this team put up 81 today, and I actually think they could have put up more. Like, this is going to be a really good offensive team.
Yeah, paint touches. That was the name of the game. I loved DJ's ability to get in that intermediate spot, and Rob too on certain occasions. And shoot, I think Antonio Reeves did a great job of doing that as well. I thought he did some really nice things. And isn't it funny? We're already 10 minutes in the show and haven't even brought up Antonio Reeves doing what he was able to do: 24 points, 8 of 16 shooting, 3 of 7 from three. I really thought that Antonio. It looked like he made a pretty significant step forward from a confidence. Like, I don't think confidence has ever been an issue for him, but I think in assertiveness, I'm the vet here. Like, yes, this might be DJ's team. He might be the alpha who's going to carry us through March, but the world still revolves around Antonio Reeves from a basketball perspective with Kentucky, and things move around him. And I think he kind of understood that, and he played with an assertiveness and a comfort where, yes, he always had the green light, and he was always confident to launch shots. But for his ability to get to his spots and confidently take them and make them, everybody wants to focus on Kansas State and what he did in that one. But I think that he was SEC Sixth Man of the Year for a reason, and I think he kind of built on what he did extremely well to close out last season, and I think this was a continuation of that. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, do you remember me saying, it was back when we were going through the whole, will Antonio Reeves be on this team? Will he not be on this team? And I kept saying it just doesn't make any sense to me, because his role to me was the clearest, most easiest one to see. Is life was going to be easier for Antonio Reeves because of the guys that could get into the paint and kind of and get the ball by a hip of the defender and beat their man and give him the ball to where he can knock down shots. You saw a complete overall his game today offensively. He was shooting threes off the move. He was catching and shooting deep threes and making them. And he also came off that dribble drive, off that drag area, off those loops, and got to the free throw line and went behind his back and shot a pull-up jumper and going baseline, making some plays. Like, you got to see the complete game of him offensively, but not having to be the main guy with the ball in his hands the entire time. That's the biggest adjustment. That was a ton of pressure for him last year. And then when Kentucky got down to the end of the season with Cason Wallace and all those guys being injured and coming back, I think it threw Antonio kind of out of his rhythm of what he had been doing. What he was today is exactly what Kentucky just needs him to be. Make shots, get him involved offensively, play off of others, but then when it's your turn, be able to create for yourself. And he did that. Like, Kentucky's got some guys on the perimeter that can get their own. That is really hard to guard and really hard to scout against and defend, but he was excellent. And you got to see some zoom action too. They ran some zoom and got him a look. They also ran a nice little quick hitter there where they set a flare screen for him and he hit a three. There was a lot to like about this game, and Antonio Reeves is at the center of it.
I think the second big person to talk about, and somebody that I think wouldn't have had this opportunity had Hugo been healthy, which, you never want to see a guy get hurt. Obviously, like, Hugo needs to play. They need him back sooner rather than later. But we wanted to see what this team could look like with Trey Mitchell at the 5 and how everything would kind of work around him. Adou at the 4, Reeves at the 3, Reed or Rob or whomever at the 2, and DJ at the 1. Like, we wanted to see that 5-man group together with Trey as a true stretch big. And go figure, his debut as a Wildcat, come out and make 4 threes the way he did, 20 points, 7 of 13 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3. That was like a best case scenario for what Trey Mitchell is going to be as a Wildcat. Like, that is, I don't envision that being long-term what he's going to be every single game, but just to know that he's capable of doing that and really kind of fill in those, 5-out dreams that Kentucky does have. I think there's no way that you could watch this game and not get all excited and just hot and bothered watching Trey Mitchell knock down, catch and shoot, working the pick and roll. He did a lot of really, really interesting things and from a true stretch 5 perspective that I think Kentucky fans have a lot of reason to be excited about just the versatility of this team.
And you could tell that there wasn't a scout in, because Germany did not even close out on him a couple of times when he was left wide open, which if there had been a scout in place, you would have known that Trey Mitchell can knock down that shot consistently, especially when his feet is set. But the things that they can do with him offensively, to me, is what's the biggest takeaway from his game. Is I texted you and Steven before the game started, and I said, let's set the over-under for Trey Mitchell threes at 2.5. And I was talking about them coming from the corner. And if he plays the 4, he's going to get a lot of looks from that spot in Kentucky's dribble drive. Well, playing the 5 today, when they did go dribble drive, he was playing that dunker spot opposite the ball, block to block. But the way that they were able to get creative with him, they ran some get action with him once where DJ threw in the ball, then DJ comes immediately off the handoff, and DJ being able to attack the paint and having Trey's man be able to help. They got the little pop action there where he steps back and hits a 3. There was another one where Kentucky was in transition and he was the trail man. And DJ, or I can't remember which Kentucky guard it was, gets downhill, throws it back again off that drag screen. And then there was the true 5-out look in transition where Justin gets the ball and then Trey steps in as the trailer, money. And and it was a 5-out look. You had the top of the key, the 2 wings, and the 2 corners. Like nobody even ran to the rim. That's where he is going to make his biggest impact to me, is in transition and then getting his feet set and knocking down open threes. But he also showed the ability to handle some size defensively today too, that if Kentucky does have to go small, he can hold his own in there and get some rebounds and at least buy Kentucky some minutes to at least show us what that lineup looks like. Because if they're going to run a lineup like that, they have to be able to defend and they can't just get bullied. And I thought with him at that spot, they did not get bullied.
I love that the comparison leading up to this was Nate Sestina for Trey Mitchell. And, Nate Sestina was the king of the trailing 3. And we got to see some of that. It was like everything we loved about Nate Sestina, like magnified. Like I love that comparison. I think it's a great one. And if he can be that for this team, when Aaron Bradshaw gets healthy, when Hugo gets healthy, I think there's a lot of reason to be excited. I don't know, Shawn, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I don't know if he's a true 5. I think he struggles a little bit with physicality, and I don't think that's something that's going to ever be fixed overnight. Cal talked about, he had 6 rebounds, but that's just not his game. He fought, but he's not going to be this brute force down low. That's never going to be his game. He's definitely more finesse and, more of a face-up figure. So I'm interested to see how he's incorporated in when Hugo and Aaron Bradshaw get back healthy. But for him to step up in this specific circumstance, I thought it was awesome. Shawn, I want to talk about Adou Thiero a little bit. Just his comfort in that small ball 4 role, where I think we can now talk about that as a realistic long-term option for Adou. I know that we kind of thought leading up to this game that it could be just kind of a placeholder until the rest of the team gets healthy, and he'd probably slide in at that 3 or even 2. I know he did a lot of primary ball handling stuff as a freshman, but I just thought he fit perfectly into what Cal was trying to do and with the dribble drive, and I think he's just perfectly suited for that. And his comfort in, attacking the basket and where he used to kind of flail himself when he got around the basket to draw fouls, he has the size and the strength and the athleticism to kind of counter that now and adjust with that, where he's finishing those as and ones and drawing fouls and only having to shoot 1 free throw as opposed to 2. I think there's a long-term fit there for Adou Thiero at the 4. And I asked him about it after the game. And he was like, look, I know I grew up as a guard. I was a point guard growing up my entire life, but I know my size and my strength is my advantage. And it's not like I'm not going to be a guard anymore. I still have guard skills. Look at what I did when I grabbed the rebound and went. Like, I was the point guard on the break, and it led to success. So I think him as that 4 option where he can still be kind of a 4th guard, I think that's putting Adou in position to succeed. And I think it's putting the team in position to succeed as well.
Yeah, that's a position. And the thing is with the way Kentucky's running offense and what they're getting back to, and then kind of what they're branching out and doing that's new that they haven't done in the past, is just get on the floor and be a skilled basketball player. And Adou is showing some skill set. Like, sure, he might not be the 1 or the 2 or being the primary guard. He had to be that at times a year ago, and he struggled in some of those opportunities and some of those moments. But he's using that guard background, those guard skills, to kind of get and take advantage of his matchup. Like there was one play in transition where he finished through contact. There was another one there in the first half where he got out of the dribble drive and he took the pitch. He went to the middle of the floor and then got back to the right side of the rim and finished and showed some athleticism and some power. He's not the fastest guy. I think he does look quicker than he did a year ago, but his shoulders and his frame and his strength, he doesn't have to be fast. He's winning the matchup, the entire drive to the basket, and then finishing strongly through you. You don't have to be lightning quick. You have to be strong and get to your spots, and he's a guy that gets to his spots similar to DJ. DJ does it with quickness. Adou does it with toughness. You got to have both. You don't got to have both in the same player, but you got to have both within your roster to do some of the things Kentucky's wanting to do offensively, and they have it in those two pieces. Look, he showed up all over the stat sheet today. That's what I've been talking about with Adou. It's rebounds. It's assists. How about one turnover? Played a ton of minutes. What did he get to? 34, 35 minutes, I believe. I mean, it was way up there. Let me check, actually. I got it pulled up here. So he got to, 32 minutes.
31. Yep. 31, 43.
And it was efficient. Like he did a lot of good things. A guy that the fan base had been excited to see. And does it carry over to tomorrow and into the weekend? Like consistency at this point. These guys that played well today, you want to see them be consistent and carried over. Maybe some guys that struggled in some certain areas, don't drop your head because there's another day, another opportunity tomorrow. And the thing with this roster is you can't get hung up on one possession or one game. You got to come back and do it again tomorrow or better yourself and try to kind of find another way to make an impact. And there were some guys that did that today, which we'll get into. Reed Sheppard, I thought, was one of them. I still think that Justin Edwards found a way to make an impact, even though he wasn't making a ton of shots. Make yourself playable, even if you're not scoring the basketball. That's how you get minutes on this team because it's a talented roster. And if you don't, you're not going to play much.
You know who else can make an impact? Andy Ludicky and MyPerfectFranchise.net. Are you ready to leave the corporate rat race for the American dream, looking for a side hustle while working your current job, wanting to diversify, build wealth, and or leave a legacy? Andy can help. Andy is a franchise consultant as well as franchise owner and helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, financial requirements, time to commit, and more. His services are 100% free, and he is here to help. If you have any questions about business ownership, you can learn more and contact Andy anytime at www.myperfectfranchise.net. And Shawn, we also have a brand new friend of the show that I'm very excited about, and I'm going to make you be our little runway model for this one. Birddogs. Birddogs make you look good. Birddogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. Birddogs shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but fit way better. I'm literally wearing them right now, and I've sat here at this game all day long. I've been here since noon, and I have been so unbelievably comfortable all day long. So I could not agree more with that. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of stiff, restricting cotton. Birddogs fix this issue by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki, but stretches so you can get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Birddogs uses anti-stink sweat, wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. I cannot stress enough how much I love Birddogs. It's been amazing. Go to birddogs.com/KSR for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/KSR or promo code KSR for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you, Shawn. I've literally worn them all day long, and I don't want to take them off. I think I'm just going to sleep in them.
Yeah, I've got my Slick Rickies on as we're sitting here, and they're amazing. Like, they're very comfortable. I got home last night. The box was waiting for me when I walked in the door. I texted you, started going through all the things. Like, I mean, look at this. Like, this is nice. Like, I'm going to have this here with me every episode, drinking from it. And I know you this is one of the things you talked about last night too.
Yeah, big fan. I appreciate their partnership with us. I can't wait to just continue to wear their products because they are pretty freaking awesome. So shout out Birddogs. Make sure you go use promo code KSR. Make that happen. Shawn, I wanted to get your thoughts because I was not expecting this. I was waiting for the team bus outside of the arena here at Mattamy Athletic Center, and I'm sitting there watching the team buses pull up, and then I see Stacy Sheppard walk up, and she's just going crazy, celebrating, cheering and stuff. We have cameras out, parents are coming in. And then two people behind her is Jeff Sheppard wearing his former number 15. It was a jersey shirt. He's wearing his old 15 again, and he just goes absolutely berserk. Like, yeah, let's go. And it was such a cool moment, man, because that was former player, Final Four most outstanding player, like a legend in his own right for the University of Kentucky, completely passing off his own status as a player and saying, I am a fan now. Like, I am a fan. My son is now making his debut at the University of Kentucky. I can now take a step back and move past everything that I did as a basketball player and just enjoy being a fan of this program and of my son. I thought it was such a cool moment, Shawn, just seeing him rock his number 15 again, but not because of anything on his end, but because his son was making his debut as a Wildcat, man. And for Reed to go out and play the way he did, I know Cal kind of teased him after the game and was like, I want you to know, just say it with me, you couldn't make a shot. Like, because it is what it is. Kyle even said yesterday at the Africa exhibition that he was making all the shots and played absolutely incredibly, and just decides to go cold today, but still made an impact elsewhere. But I thought it was a really, really cool intro to Reed Sheppard's career as a Wildcat.
Yeah, that was a proud dad that you saw on the streets and the video that you put out. Like that was really cool to see a guy that, and his mom too, two people that know what it takes to play at this university, and Jeff playing at the highest level there, winning a national championship, going to multiple Final Fours, and knowing the pressure of being in this program and what it takes to succeed and be in it. It's going to make life easier on Reed because you got two people at home that have done it and gone through it at the highest level and won some of the biggest games in this program's history. But it was cool to see Jeff relaxed and having fun. Because it's not always, it's not always been like that. Like there was a lot of stress going through that recruitment, especially early on, and getting Reed to the point and getting him ready to be able to play at Kentucky. There was a ton of stress, and I think it's just a sense of relief. Like, man, he made it, and now it's his turn to do this, and I'm going to be a dad, and I'm going to be a mom, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch my kid do it at the place where we did it, in the jersey number that I did it, on a team that hopefully has the potential to do what we did. That is what I think the excitement was about with Jeff today. And look, Reed did a lot of good stuff. Like he got after it defensively, went in, made a couple of plays. I was talking about Kentucky's full court pressure and some of the things they were doing. He made a nice pass over his shoulder to DJ for a dunk. The pass with the side out situation to Jordan Burks at the rim, though, like that's the basketball IQ and accuracy, beautiful passing the ball. Like that's where Reed can make an impact when he's not making shots. But here's the catch. Reed Sheppard is going to make shots. And when he does, he's going to look even better. But look, he was tied for the team lead with 6 assists today. Should have had 7 if Trey Mitchell hadn't missed the layup there, but he ended up getting the putback of his own miss. But he made an impact, and it was really cool to see Jeff and Stacy having a good time with this. I mean, I see Stacy active on Twitter all the time, liking stuff that I tweet, liking stuff that you tweet, liking all Kentucky stuff. Like they're excited for Reed, and I am too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you see this, Steven's talking about what's going on behind us. So I'm here at Mattamy Athletic Center. I'm trying to see what would be the best view. But this Canada-Africa game was about to go on, and they just keep pushing it back. I feel like they've been doing 4 player introductions and a bunch of different national anthems and stuff. I've been excited to see how this game unfolds, to see what the competition is going to be for the next couple of days for the Wildcats, but they just won't start this damn game. So we have no idea what's going on. And we keep getting over the loudspeaker, the loud announcements going on over and over again. It's like, it'd be great if you just played the damn game so we don't have to deal with that anymore. But unfortunately, they just really enjoy dragging this thing out. I like how Steven said, and they just added 8 minutes until we start. What does this sources say?
That's great.
We're not punctual. Come on now. We're always punctual.
Yeah, we deliver the content to you. Just maybe it comes to you a few minutes later than what we planned, but it's always there and ready to roll. Now, so I'll ask you this: you're in charge of the scouting report, then, if you're there and can see that game, right? So on the next edition,
man. If they ever start this damn game, I'd be happy to.
Well, they got to start at some point, but Who knows? Maybe fans can get a live look in over your shoulder there. But no, it's I think it's a cool setup where you're at. I wish that I were in Toronto with you. I wish I'd been there today to experience that. But overall, I thought the broadcast was solid, and I thought Kentucky fans got an enjoyable 2 hours of basketball today, and a lot of good from their team, and some stuff that, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about some more stuff. But there was a lot of good takeaways today, and I told you last night on the show that I wasn't going to talk negatives, and I'm not going to get into negatives at all because I don't see the point in finding negatives in July. Now, when this trip is over with and we wrap this thing up sometime next week, then we'll start getting into the areas that I think Kentucky needs to improve. And there are some areas that I think this team will certainly have to get better. But look, for them to only have 10 practices and things, and Cal was pleased today, and you could sense the excitement and the joy in him with what this team put on and the performance. But look, these guys, they seem to enjoy playing together, and I think they're going to have a lot of fun. But those two veteran guys being added, both of them going for 20 plus today. Reeves 24, Trey Mitchell 20. Jack, a month ago, those two guys weren't on this roster, and then they joined in the same week. And we talked about the importance of those two guys. Oh boy, those are two pieces that are going to kind of just carry the torch until all the freshmen are ready. The Justin Edwards on this roster when he's ready. Like, imagine Kentucky when Justin Edwards is playing his best basketball. Imagine Kentucky when Reed Sheppard is making shots. Like, there's still a lot left in the tank, but Kentucky beat a quality opponent today. Probably one of their best opponents that they've had on a foreign tour. I know you can't technically call this that, but that was one of the more quality opponents that they've played in the last couple of trips. And that's a team that made it difficult and made shots, and Kentucky found a way to win and do a lot of good takeaways from this one.
Yeah, they're the perfect placeholders for, until, as you said, until Justin gets his footing and starts making shots, until Reed starts making shots, until just from a health perspective, until Aaron Bradshaw gets back on the floor and whatever happens with Hugo. And again, I heard at the time that the injury didn't look that bad and they didn't have any. I know you were listening to the broadcast, Shawn. I know they said something like he's not going to be able to be back until October. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that's barring a terrible turn of events with X-rays and things like that, I don't think that's what the expectation is. I think everybody's kind of assuming that it's okay around here up in Toronto.
I think that was more the way that I took them saying that was more that he'll be there when this team comes together for practices again. It's kind of how I took it, because we know once this trip is over with, they're not going to have the practices on the floor together. They'll have workouts and things like that. But that's how I took it, is that not the severity of the injury kind of keeping him out between now and October, but more so when it's ready for them to come back together and do some practices with the entire coaching staff and the entire roster actually being able to do stuff that is going to translate to what they're doing in games in the season. That's how I took the comment. But it's unfortunate because I wanted to see him, because this felt like probably the guy that needed this trip the most to show that he could do the things that Kentucky's doing offensively, and also kind of be that anchor that you mentioned in the lead up of this episode, and then block some shots and be a rim protector. I think Kentucky's still going to have that on the back end. But it was good to see Kentucky get after it defensively, mix it up and scramble some and trap some and do some different things to at least overcome some of that lack of size that they were missing with him out. I mean, what team goes and plays in July's without their two bigs? Like, it's unheard of. Like, and I know people and Kentucky fans it's been frustrating because you've had injury after injury after injury, but there's nothing that could have been done to prevent this. It was just one of those things that happens in the game of basketball, and thankfully it's not going to cost him. And you will see Hugo at some point, and hopefully he's able to help. But at the same time, it would have been big to at least got a look, and then not just let Kentucky know where Hugo's at, but let Hugo know where he's at too. And now you're not going to get that from this trip, and that is disappointing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we talked about, and I think we're actually getting gameplay finally. About damn time. But yeah, that's what we talked about with Hugo. This being a huge test for him just to see where he is and to know where the team needed to go from here. The next 3-4 months until the regular season starts. That's what we needed. Are they doing another run of player introductions? Are you kidding me?
Is this even a game back there?
It's like we're in a fever dream. I don't think this is real. None of this is real. This is insanity. Anyway, Shawn, we're going to wrap this thing up here shortly because we're going to do a show every single day, so we don't need to just drag on for the sake of dragging on. I do have a question for you and for all of our listeners right now. How do we go about doing our post-game show tomorrow? Because half of the viewer base will not be able to watch the game live at 8 o'clock. A lot of it will be on tape delay starting at midnight. So do we do our post-game show as the midnight game begins? Or do we, like, how do we go about doing that? I'm interested to see what the fans have to say and how you want to handle this.
I have a suggestion, but Steven may hate us and you may, I don't know, because you all are the ones on the road, but wouldn't it be cool if we just went live during that game and just talked about the game as it's playing out?
I thought about it. I just don't know what the TV rights and the streaming rights are, if we'll get in trouble for it. But, like, what if
I don't think
I turned myself around? What if I turned myself around and had myself aimed toward the game and just, like, did a play-by-play as it was happening?
I think as long as we don't give descriptions of the play-by-play, I don't think that we're breaking whatever the rights are to TV, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I don't know. We can get creative with it, I'm sure.
We'll think that one over. I also don't want to step on the GOAT, Tom Leach and Jack Goose Gibbons. I don't. They have the live radio broadcast, so you will be able to hear that no matter what. So I don't want to step on their heels. And the great.
Is the live radio going to go at 8 o'clock?
Is it? I don't know.
I think it will be.
Steven says yes.
Yeah. So his will be. You can actually listen to the radio call and then watch it tape delayed later. So I don't know. Like, it's a good question. With it being tape delayed, I don't even know if is there TV rights to that, because it's not a live event.
We will talk that over. We will take the fans' feedback and see how that unfolds. But until then, we got to get out of here. It's been a great show, great post game, great way to start this Toronto trip, Shawn. I don't know how you can not be excited about how this unfolded. Like, obviously with the injury, you don't like that. It was a terrible start yesterday, but there's no way you could watch this game and not get excited. There's so much to enjoy about this team. They have the entertainment factor. They have the pizzazz. Like, there's a lot to like about this team, and there's definitely that buzz brewing here up in Toronto about the Cats. So many UK fans around, just walking around the town. I love this area. The downtown Toronto area is freaking awesome. It's like a little Manhattan, like almost Times Square-y style. So I absolutely love this city. Everything about it, man. This trip's been awesome. So let's wrap this thing up and hope that we have 3 more wins to break down. It's going to be a blast. Shawn, I know you're definitely looking forward to that. Let's make that happen. Where can fans find your work?
You can find my work at gobigbluecountry.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at GBBCountry.
You can find me on Twitter as well, at Jack Pilgrim KSR. Reach out to me via email, jpilgrim@KentuckySportsRadio.com. With that, we'll be back next time. Hopefully, this game happens at some point, and we have something to talk about tomorrow as well. This has been the Source to Say podcast. We will see you next time.